Hello everyone, welcome back to Doctor Who and Autism Celebrations. This is November. As we're recording, it's not November, but it's nearly November. We'll just say it's nearly November. But today is where it's a little bit different for the second part of the series, where it's a lead up to the 23rd, lead up to Doctor Who Day. This is Doctor Who month, so this is the first group episode where we'll be doing different group episodes where Doctor Who people and people in the neurodivergent community will kind of unite and we just talk about the show we love. So today I'm joined with Damla and Elliot, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we can get on to talk. So Damla, hello.
Hello, hi, I'm Damla. I am one half of the Come Along Pond podcast. I'm a queer, I'm a girly, and I love Doctor Who. So that's me.
Yeah, love Doctor Who.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, Elliot.
Hello, I'm Elliot, the second best half of Come Along Pond, or CAP, as we call it, and basically
Cap.
the exact same resume, right?
Yeah, you love Doctor
Queer,
Who.
girly, Doctor Who. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess does one of you want to explain to anyone out there that doesn't know what Doctor Who is? Would you mind explaining what it is?
Damla loves explaining things.
Okay, I'll do it. So, Doctor Who. What is Doctor Who? Doctor Who is an absolute. It's. You know what it is? It's absolute confusion and madness. It's about well, not even 900 and something anymore, is it? What age is the Doctor now? God knows. But it's about a character called the Doctor who travels in time and space and saves people throughout time and space, and also just causes chaos. That's how I see it, anyway.
Yeah,
That's how I see it.
that is a good way to point it out, I think. Yeah.
Good.
That's
I hope so.
Yeah, it's a good way to point out. I've never asked anyone that before. You're the first.
Love that.
Yeah. So Doctor Who. So when did you guys start watching it?
I let you go first this time.
My first experience of Doctor Who, we have talked about it a little bit previously, but my first experience was in 2005, being a child at school, and we had an assembly by our headmaster who was obsessed with Doctor Who and was excited by the fact it was coming back. So she told us we should go watch it, and then I went home and watched Rose, and I mean I've not watched an episode since. So I remember just being absolutely obsessed with it from series one. So I have other series I prefer, but series one is like my first series, and Chris Eccleston is my Doctor. But you're just slightly different, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
You love being different.
I love being different. I am different. I'm special. Anyway, no, I'm joking. So I started it a little bit later. I was just watching TV one night, and there was these two very attractive people on my screen on an advert. David Tennant, Billy Piper, obviously. Who else could I be talking about? And they were just kind of like, it was for the series. It was a trailer for series 2, and that like David was in the TARDIS and he was walking in slow motion around the console, and I was like, what on earth is going on? I need to know what's going on. So I tuned into New Earth, and that was my first introduction to Doctor Who. Watched all of series 2, loved it, obsessed with it, literally traumatized by Doomsday. And then I realized there was other series, and I was like, what? And I went back and watched series 1, because you never skip 9. You don't do it. You just don't do it. And then I'd say 10 is my Doctor for sure. I know that's really just the most basic answer, but it's the truth. It's my truth.
Yeah. I love that. So for me, I started watching it in 2005 as well. Like Elliot. I was young. Young. But yeah, I started watching it from Christopher Eccleston. How I got into it was my brother. He said that you should watch a show called Doctor Who, and I was like, okay, let's see what it's about. And then it becomes a family thing now. So everyone, when it's on, we all watch it as families. But everyone has to be quiet. You can't speak. Turn your phones off. Don't go on Twitter. Just don't, because it's like a football match on Twitter when Doctor Who's on. They literally commentate the whole episode. So it's, yeah, you got to turn it all off. But I'll say my Doctor It's 10 as well. Well, like Damla. It is definitely 10. I do like other Doctors as well, but if you have to pick one,
I mean, yeah, it's hard because I have more memories of 10 growing up because of how long he was around for when I was that age. But I always have to go 9 because I mean, otherwise I wouldn't like the show if it wasn't for 9. And we love 9. But all Doctors are good Doctors. When people ask me to pick my favorite, I always say it's like pick them between a favorite child, right? They're all good.
Yeah, they
They're all
are.
good. How can you pick
They
a
are all
favorite?
good.
yeah,
I love all of them. Yeah.
but they're all good in their own way. They all have their differences.
Yes.
And they all have
Yeah,
their
that's the thing. It's good. Yeah, it's why the show's so fun, right? Because it's all about there's different things for different moods. You can
Yes.
just go to different series and different Doctors depending on how you feel.
yeah. It is what the Doctor Who, all the Doctors, they are very impactful, aren't they? Like on everyday life, like because you'll see something from Doctor Who, and like I know when I ever write up a podcast, I'll listen to Doctor Who music, like from Murray Gold, and pretend I'm in some kind of trance, like the Doctor.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, downloads whenever I'm like, if I need to girl boss around town, it's always Westminster Bridge. Always,
Yes.
Yeah.
always.
Always.
I love
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. That is a very good one. I love Dazzling End. I like that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What series is that from?
That,
I
that
know
is,
it, but I can't.
do you remember like when it was Journey's End where they got all the Earth back together?
Oh yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
that one.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
but they didn't play the whole song. I don't think they only played a little part. But if you go and listen to the whole song, it's very good.
Lovely.
But yeah, all the music is. I think Doctor Who is good. The music makes it even better, doesn't it?
Oh, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's Murray Gold's music is, I mean, I so formative for just my love of movie and TV soundtracks, and pretty much why that's all I listen to.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sega Nakanola has really good work, and I just enjoy occasionally listening to radiophonic workshop suites from old Doctor Who serials as well. They bring me a lot of joy.
Yeah, Sagan had some good music. I, they I liked I like it when the companions have their own theme, and I think we missed that the last couple of years. I think there was
Yeah.
too many companions to have a theme ready, so they didn't do that.
And
Yeah.
it's a shame because like Martha's theme is one of the best in the whole show. So
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Martha's is like, I mean, people, if you know me, if you know the podcast, you know I love Martha. All right, I don't have to keep going on about it, but her theme is pretty special. I really love it.
Yeah, it's so good. Martha needed more time, didn't we? I think.
Well,
do you think?
to be fair, she did return quite a bit, and that's not a complaint because more Martha is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when she was in Torchwood, she came back for series 4 for like, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.
A lot of the episodes, yeah.
No, 5,
Yeah.
5, because she's in both parts of the finale, isn't she? She's in Sontaran, Stratagem, and Poison Sky, and she's in Doctor's Daughter. It's like 5
Yes,
whole
no,
episodes.
5.
She's in like almost
Yeah.
half of series 4, which is crazy when you actually break it down like that.
It is actually mad, but
Yeah.
you know what? A girl boss stays winning. We love her.
Yeah, and I've now finally actually seen all of her some of her Torchwood appearances. Maybe I don't know if she comes back into it, but I've actually experienced her in Torchwood. No, all right, fair enough.
She was in End of Time as well, right at the end.
Yeah,
She was. This is
yes,
true.
Yes.
Yeah, we have feelings about that.
Yeah.
But we will share when we talk about that episode.
I think everyone was in the End of Time.
Yeah.
You just go, yeah.
You're probably in it, and you don't even know it.
No. Yeah.
We're all there. Yeah.
Well, we're all there. But yeah, I think with the 60th, which we'll definitely talk more about in a minute, but I was speaking about Martha. I think she's quite relevant to be in it because of Donna. She is involved with Donna's life a lot, and it would make sense because speaking about UNIT and she was in unit and they're making a new unit, she could have a little appearance, or if it goes into a spin-off eventually, she would do good there, I think.
No, I mean, we've, again, on the podcast, we've spoken about it, but I think, I mean, there's been rumor that there's been this like shorter lady seen on set with a hood on, and Freema is quite a short lady, and I think it makes sense for it to be her. But then also on top of that, at a convention, someone asked Freema, like, would you go back to the show? Are you going to come back? You know, and she was just kind of like, I don't know how to answer that question. And it's like, she's doing something, definitely. Definitely.
Because I love Gemma Redgrave as Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, but I mean, if you need a new brigadier, Martha, come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
she would have just been so much. I love Kate, but Martha as the brigadier would have been top tier for me.
Kate is like on 100 lives, isn't she? Because you always think she's going to get killed off, and then she doesn't.
I just hope that. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
but I was going to say that, like, I just really hope that this may get me some, hate, but you know what? Screw it. I think she hasn't been utilized properly yet as a character in the show, and I'm so glad that she's gonna be present in series 14, because I think Russell will really just really be able to like kind of flesh her out a bit more and actually make her a bit more relevant in episodes. Because let's be honest, some episodes it's like, if you were there, would it change? And if you weren't there, would it change? Probably not. Sorry, that's how I feel. So I'm hoping that they can flesh her out a bit more.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think it's just sort of testament to how good Gemma Redgrave's performances always are. That in my mind, she's a memorable character and a character that I love, but she doesn't really ever do anything. But she's cool.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see her again.
She's just there. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Because the last episode she was in, the Power of the Doctor, it was pretty. Like, you thought she was gonna go because of what the Cybermen were doing to her, and she didn't. And she's out in the end, but she didn't really have much to do, did she? In the episodes that she was in.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying.
Power of the Doctor, she's just kind of in that office.
Yeah. But I did find it funny when she was speaking to that snake thing. I forgot what it's called. But she in one of the episodes, and saying, I will dispose you or something. I just thought that was funny. I was just laughing the way she was speaking. But she's Russell T will definitely do something with her.
I think so. I mean, he's never. I mean, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually every character he's written has some kind of development behind them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, even people like Harriet Jones. She's in 3 episodes of the whole run, and she has a complete character arc.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like even characters like Wilfred. Like Wilfred is not in many episodes at all.
No.
Yeah.
It's like he's in loads. To how much impact that character has in Doctor Who. So characters like that, you don't even have to in Doctor Who. You don't have to be in many episodes to get know who that character is.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah.
And we did Voyage of the Damned recently, and I always forget just how late into the show Wilf is introduced as a character, because I associate him so strongly with the 10th Doctor.
Yeah, they had a whole episode together, didn't they, at the end?
Yeah, I mean, that was a stroke of genius. That was a stroke of genius, I think, from Russell to have him as the kind of final companion of the 10th Doctor. I think that was a really good decision.
Yeah.
Sad.
But
yeah, I'm sad now. Oh.
Yeah. Final goodbye again. For the 6th year with him.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be sad.
It's gonna be even worse. It's gonna be sad.
Yeah, it is going.
It's fine.
It's gonna be sad. It's gonna be.
I just try not to think about it, and then I'll let it happen on the night, and then I can go.
Yeah, the day it happened, the day he went, loads of people sent me messages saying what's happened, when he died, and I didn't know how to feel because it's not my family. Like, I've never been sad for like a celebrity really to die.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it was a bit different. And people like send half a dozen people send the messages saying he's gone, and like I knew I'd find out myself because it's BBC News and stuff. So it was a sad day.
Yeah, it's weird though how because we kind of almost all of us, I'm assuming, probably have a weird parasocial relationship with some of these actors, right? Where it's like if anything happened to them, like, you know, touch wood. But if anything happened to David Tennant, I mean, I'd probably get about half a dozen messages going, "Are you all right? Oh my God," because I'd just be inconsolable. Never met the man. He has well, no, I have. I'm lying. I have met him once at a convention, but definitely doesn't remember me. No, I have met him. How did I say that? How could I ever say it? Because that was like the best day of my life. But no, like, you know, we don't know each other, and yeah, I feel a strong connection to the actor because of what he represented, still represents and will represent as a character in my life and many other people's lives. It's a strange thing, but yeah, no, I get it because like when Bernard passed away, I mean, I messaged you. Was it you messaged me, Elliot, or I messaged you? I can't remember.
It was a while ago.
But I was at work at the time and I was like, oh my God, no. It was just an awful day.
Yeah, it was a sad day. But like when I met David Tennant, it was I spent a long time. I spent 2.5 minutes speaking with him.
Oh, that's nice.
And it was funny because like the guard is saying to my parents saying, you know, hurry up. And I'll say I was clever. I got 2 autographs on the 10th and the 14th. I was asking them questions like a mini interview because I knew what I was doing. And then I got the letter in my hand. That takes about a minute, and then you've got the others that take a little bit longer. So I knew what I was doing. He knew who I was because he was like, "Hello again," because I'd freaked with him, and I was wearing my 10th Doctor suit, so I was hard.
Oh,
but he's lovely. He's got so much energy with him, and time because loads of people. He has to put up that face for loads of people, and his teeth must be.
yeah.
His smile must hurt. His hands must hurt.
I mean, Elliot, are you feeling left out?
I say everybody's met David Tennant but me. Yeah, okay.
No, but Mason, you're so right because he's so lovely. Like I met him at London Film and Comic Con last year. Paid a pretty penny. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It is expensive.
Broke the bank a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And because he was the most popular guest of the day, well, I think he was anyway. I mean, his queue just wouldn't end. And I didn't get a photo of him because it was a bit too much for me. I was like, I can't do it yet. This is my idol we're talking about. I can't do it. So I was like, an autograph will do. And because of how busy it wasn't guaranteed you could get an autograph that day. And when they called out my number, I was so happy. And like I was in the queue. An open person, but like I think that you know there's a limit, isn't there? Like he is a person at the end of the day. Don't scream in his face. Like she was just like jumping up and down on the spot, screaming in his face, "I'm so excited to meet you!" And I was like, I love that she's excited. But David was just kind of like, because he's lovely, he would never be horrible to anyone, and I think he's too nice sometimes. He could probably afford to be a bit more, you know, but he's lovely, and he was just like, "Oh, that's lovely," and he just signed it and whatever. Yeah. And then when I went up to him because I was like, we're talking idol here. He's been my idol since I was 8 years old. Like, this is insane. And he's just in front of me. And I'm just like, hi. And he's just like, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, how are you? Whatever. And then I was just like, what do I say that isn't weird? And because I'd seen him in a play about a month before, the play he was doing at the Howard Pinter Theatre called Good. And I was just like, I saw Good recently and it was amazing. I loved your performance in it. And I think the play was amazing. And he was just like, I really appreciate you saying that. And I was like, don't. And then he finished signing the photo, which is in my bedroom because it's in pride of place. And he was just like, I really appreciate you coming down today. And I was like, I really appreciate you being here. And he was like, thank you so much. And I was like, "Had the best day." He was like, "You have the best day." And I walked away, and I was just crying, not in front of him. Can I just clarify? I walked like 10 yards in the other direction before he could see me because I didn't want to cry in front of him. But I like called my boyfriend, and I was like, "He's so great. He's everything I wanted him to be." It was a relief because when you don't want to meet your hero and then be a twat. So
That's it.
sorry, I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah, that's
Is
fine.
that bad?
No,
Swear, sorry.
it's not a bad word. But yeah, like that's it. You want to go and see him, and you want him to be what you expect. You want him to be all this friendly, like person. Like when I saw him, it was it is a big deal to just meet someone that you've known near enough for your whole life.
Yes. Yes.
And like to people, some people might think it's just a person at the end of the day. You just see another person, but this person is just like it's as maiden as he is, like on the telly. He you wouldn't think he's British. He's Scottish, but as when watching him growing up, he hasn't got that accent on Doctor Who, has he?
No, exactly. And I think as well, for me with like, because I obviously have a few celebrities that I idolize, you know, but I'd say with David Tennant, it's very much, I'm sure Elliot, you'd agree with me here, but David has always stood for what's right, in my opinion, from what I've seen, everything I've seen of him, like especially recently, like with everything he's doing for like, you know, trans people and like his non-binary badge that he's been wearing on like talk shows. And just he always advocates for the LGBTQ plus community, which is a big thing for me and Elliot as well. And it means a lot because people say, oh, it might be the bare minimum, and I guess it is, but in a way, he I feel like he does go beyond because he does actively talk about it, and so does Georgia, his wife as well, who I love, Queen, absolute icon, living legend, Georgia Tennant, love her. She also does a lot of advocacy for the queer community, and that's a big deal. And you know, I think that's also why a lot of people love him because he actually goes that extra mile to advocate
he
for
cares.
people, you know.
Like it's a good thing he cares. Like when I saw him, I tell him I didn't actually tell him I was autistic because I don't know how they will react to that. Like, are they going to be less jolly? Like you just don't know. So I write it in my letter, though. I said to him, but that that day or the following day, I get a message from another person who went to that Comic-Con. And this person said to me, they are autistic and they actually went to David Tennant and just having like was really overwhelmed. When in front, and David Tennant had a word with this person, and said it's okay, and it helped them. So he's very good at what he does, and and he's very understanding. Because he wants his time with each person. He don't rush them.
No, he doesn't. No,
It's like you can have a proper conversation with him. Like, cause I was asking him what your favorite Doctor Who location is, because I like going to different locations. It was funny his response. He said Rome, where they did the fires of Pompeii, and he said,
nice.
It's burnt down now, so you can't go there. But there was a talk that same day I went. There was a talk, and there was two people asked two really bad questions.
Don't. I hate that. I hate that.
Like, the last one, like, because you know when you go to these places, like you put your hand up forever and they don't pick you.
Yeah.
And I was at the front, and even the guy hosting it with David Tennant, if it was up to David Tennant, I probably would have been picked because he looked at me. I was putting if it was up. I think it should be up to the actors really instead of these stewards around. Because it's their sort of thing. So the last question was someone saying they got stung by a bee. And then David Tennant was like, "What is the question?" And I can't remember the question. It was that bad.
Wow. Like, imagine wasting his time. Imagine.
Yeah. Do you have a question? And then someone else says, like, it was funny in a way, but at the same time, because David has a good sense of humour. But he was basically, this person was going back and forward saying that he was really good in someone else, really bad and good, but he's really good in someone else. And then David Tennant's like, "You're going back and forward, aren't you?" And then he's basically saying, "They said people in Basingstoke are nice." So I don't think he'll come again, but it was funny in a way, but yeah. And some really interesting person said, "Can I go up to the front and have a picture with you?" And
Oh God, right.
they
That
did.
stuff gets on my wick. Well, they got a picture. They got one.
Yeah, like there's something called some reels, or you know that picture, you can have a picture once a day on this app. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Be real, yeah.
Yeah, be real.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So they did that, and they said, "Can I have a photo of you for my Be Real?" And I thought that was actually a really good question to ask, because like you just asked them a question, and then I just got to have a picture of you, have a selfie.
To be fair, okay, that context is slightly different because that's kind of hilarious. Because Be Real is a concept where you have to take the photo in the moment, and then all your friends see it, and that's the beauty of
Be
the
Real's
app.
going off while you're speaking to David Tennant. Yeah,
That's
pretty,
hilarious.
that's pretty cool.
That's hilarious, and I low-key would do it as well. So that's fair enough. But so what I was talking about, because I've seen conventions and gone to talks before where, like, you know, Matt Smith will be there, and someone will be like, "Oh, Matt, can I get a hug?" And it's like, oh no, the cringe levels are too high. I can't do it. I can't be doing it.
Yeah.
No, it's just it's too much.
Yeah.
If I asked him a question, my question was probably no offense to everyone else's questions, but I just thought my question was going to be better than everyone else's. So what my question was going to be, so David Tennant, you remember in Stolen Earth where you go to the Shadow Proclamation? Yeah, you remember that? And you remember where you're talking to the Jadoon, and in really fast. So I was wondering if you could actually explain how long it took you to learn that, and also if you can do that again here. That would have been.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Relevant,
that would have been fun.
It's fun.
Yeah. Get the audience involved, and everyone was asking questions and that. So,
to be fair, I've always wondered about that. Is
yeah.
it scripted? Does it mean anything? Did they actually create a language?
Yeah,
What's going
exactly.
on there? So
Exactly.
I'm annoyed you didn't get to ask it because I want to know the answer.
Yeah.
It is though. It is interesting though, because touching on something you said before that, about meeting the actors and like going to cons, because obviously, like we say, it is a very pricey process. Let's not beat around the bush. Look, I went again, London Film and Comic Con. I met David, I met Jodie, and I met Sylvester in one day, and it was like, my God, my bank account was just like, stop, please stop. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think what's really lovely is when it does feel worth it. And again, at the end of the day, they are people, and everyone can have a bad day or a good day or whatever. You know, people are people, and we have to remember that. But I think what's really lovely is, like, for example, Jodie. Jodie is someone who is also, I feel like she has a really good reputation at these things, like Comic Cons. And she is, because a lot of the queer community love the 13th Doctor, as do I. Like, I love her. And it's honestly, when Jodie's at a convention, it's 90% lesbians who just love the 13th Doctor, let's be honest. And we love that. I love it. And they all, you know, go up to her and just say how much the Doctor means to them and their queer identity. And she's always, I think she loves it as well, from what I can see online and things like that. And it's just nice when actors, especially in Doctor Who, because again, I mean, because we talk about it on our podcast, the queer community really identify with the show a lot. And there's like a cross section. There's like, I'd say about, I want to say 60, 70% of the audience is queer in some respect. And you get, you know, like Jodie and David, who are massive advocates for the queer community. And I'm sure other actors as well. But they're the most vocal, I would say. And it's lovely just to have that, you know, that kind of representation with these actors, but also especially like the characters, like not so much the 10th Doctor, but the 13th Doctor. She is a massive queer icon. I don't know if that I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm saying it, and I think it's true. So
yeah, like I always see that. I always see it, like, about the 13th Doctor, how much of the influence that she has on the community.
yeah,
and I would if I went to a Comic-Con and I saw her, I'd love to meet her, not because she's in Doctor Who, because like I love her in Doctor Who, but I just want to meet her just as a person, like not
She's great.
yeah, because I always see videos how bubbly she is, how nice she is. So she is really good, and she has done that. It's like the first proper stand with the 13th Doctor, because it was a male for so long, and then that change, it needed to be changed. Like it was long. It should have happened years ago, really, before, but it was good. It was good. It worked. There's lots of controversy. I'll talk about the politics side, but
Oh yeah,
like it worked. it worked. That she did good. Every Doctor's going to have their bad things and their good things about them.
Yeah,
which people are going to say. Like as we all know, Jodie's downside is not on her as an actor. It's on her as the writing, maybe perhaps that it may not have been. Perhaps
maybe.
Definitely.
Perhaps, yeah. So if she was with Russell, I was hoping that she could be with Russell for a little while, but
So did I. Yeah, me too. But I recommend, Mason, if you ever go to another convention and you can meet Jodie, do it, because she gives lovely hugs. She always smells good. She's always serving looks. Honestly, again, met her last year. How many times more can I say? I'll put Carol saying for the rest of the time because I love her. My photo with her is in my living room because I'm sad. And like, obviously you don't get long in these photo shoots. You walk in and you walk out and you've paid like what, £1 million to meet them. Not not $1 million, but it's a lot. And
that's a lot,
yeah.
Just share that around.
And I literally walked up to her and I was just like, hello. And she was like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. I was like, can we have a hug in the photo? And she was like, yeah, come here. And she just like opened her arms and invited me in. And I was like, I never want to leave. I love you so much. Just a wonderful woman. So I recommend it. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah. She is very good, and I'm sure she'll come back at some point. I
hope so.
Yeah. It would be nice. It would be nice for her to come back again, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope she kind of becomes like David, where they'll just do anything. It doesn't matter, if it's Doctor Who related, they'll go, yeah, sure. They'll find the time to do it, because it's nice when when you have doctors like that.
They're all mates anyway. All the doctors, aren't they? Like
most of them, yeah, I'd say for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Davison, and Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy are like.
Yeah, they're doing great chat going, don't they? Yeah,
they do.
Yeah, I feel like Peter Capaldi. I don't see him as much, and it's like, Peter, where are you, babe? We love you. Come on, what are you doing?
He's booked and busy.
No, he is. He's doing like his job, his professional job, which is acting. But I feel like he's not as much conventions. But then again, some actors don't like that stuff, and that's fine. That's their prerogative, and that's fine. And
even though I wasn't really involved in the show, I'm not involved in the show, but I wasn't watching the show at the time. I feel like just from everything I've seen since, like, Peter Capaldi was a really good ambassador for the show.
Yes, he was.
So he kind of did his time.
Yeah.
Now he can do Amazon original dramas or whatever he wants to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I watched that series that he was in. He was, I think, in prison or something. He did it like last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I can't remember what it's called, but I think that's the Amazon one, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it was
that
weird.
Is the Amazon one, yeah.
It was weird. It makes sense. Yeah, I watched it. I still didn't get one once I finished it, but yeah, Peter Capaldi is great. Like, when I watched this Doctor, it did take me a long time. Well, it took me to his last series. I think is his best.
Yes, agreed.
Like his first one, I always have a controversial opinion on his first line as the Doctor, because I just feel like it don't make no sense. He says,
it's shit.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah,
it's awful.
It's terrible. He sounds American, doesn't he? He's slightly American, saying, "Do you know how to fly this thing?"
Yeah.
And if I was the companion, I'd be thinking, well, so you've just flown it, just started it as the 11th Doctor, and then you don't have a clue what's going on. Have you had some sort of crisis midway through?
I mean, it again on our podcast. It's a known thing that me personally, I hate that regeneration. I hate it. Because and a lot of people actually at me about this opinion, and quite frankly, again, I don't care because it's my opinion. But like 11 sneezing and then turning into Capaldi is just the worst thing ever. And then him talking about his kidneys and how he doesn't like the color of his kidneys. It's just the worst bit of dialogue. Sorry, Stephen, I love you, babe, but what are you doing? What are you doing, Stephen? Come on,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
it feels like trying to be wacky rather than actually being wacky or interesting. You know.
I think he
Exactly.
didn't have an idea. I think he was lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it does look like a lot of it was filmed not with Jenna. Like there's a shot of them together, but it doesn't look like they're in the same room, and it's really strange. And like I don't know. That scene just I don't like it. Sorry, we've gone on a tangent about that regeneration now, but
Yeah.
The only interesting thing about it is that both Karen Gillan and Matt Smith are wearing wigs.
yeah,
So
that's
the
it.
only thing I find interesting about that scene.
Agreed. Agreed.
Wig facts for everybody.
What did you think of Deep Breath, his first episode then?
Oh,
See, we
okay.
have very differing opinions on Peter Capaldi's era, because I'm still not a big fan of the kind of Stephen Moffat just approach to Doctor Who. So I struggle with a lot of his era, but I like a spiky doctor, I like a rude doctor, I like a nasty doctor. All of my doctors are kind of mean people. Damla's not so fond.
No,
So
I'm
I
not,
quite
no.
like series 8 and 9, and I actually was really surprised after sort of going through, like, especially things like series 6 and the first half of series 7, which I think are quite wonky, how much I liked Deep Breath and how funny it is. It's still a bit pants, but there's some good stuff in there. Peter Capaldi calling a dinosaur "Hey you, big sexy woman" is pleasing to me on levels that I didn't know I needed.
No, do you know what though? It is funny. Like I like Deep Breath. I think it's a good episode. I also love because it was in the cinema, wasn't it? And it's just the way it was shot, everything is like that. The cinematography in that episode is actually something to be discussed because it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful the way that episode shot. It's stunning. There's about 5 shots that come to mind where I'm like, oh my god, I love it. But no, it is known that I struggled with 12 for a long time. So Doctor Who's been my favorite show since I was 8 years old, and I've always said I will watch it through thick and thin, and I have, and I will continue to do so. Series 8 was the closest I came to not watching it anymore. That's how much I struggled with it. Sorry, but it was hard.
I agree.
Damla's braver than me.
I think Doctor Who went downhill when Peter Capaldi was the Doctor, and I think that because like that Matt Smith had big shoes to fill, and he done that so good.
He did.
It did so good. Like I was so sad when David Tennant left. I was probably the only regeneration I probably cried at. And when Matt Smith won, not I didn't really cry at all. I was sad for him, but I just didn't. It wasn't. It was more of a happy. I like the happy ones though, but yeah, Peter Capaldi. His last season was good. I think it was very good. I would say. I got tired of Clara, being there. She was just there, and her time ended at Face the Raven.
Yeah, because I don't even mind how long Clara's around for. It's all of the we'll kill her off. Now we'll bring her back. Jenna Coleman wants to leave. No, Jenna Coleman wants to stay. And it's like sometimes you just need to stick to your guns and do something because it feels like it's running out of steam a little.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just gave up at series 6 when I was a kid because once you start getting all of the complicated timey-wimey stuff, that's not fun for kids to watch. What's going on? It's boring, confusing, weird. Like I think Doctor Who always was able to tread a line for kids of being quite complex, but also having enough stuff in there to keep children entertained. I think a lot of the Moffat stuff for me personally is just a bit too going on the side of clever for its own good, where as a child I found it very disengaging because I didn't actually understand the plots of a lot of everything that was going on. That could just be a skill issue.
The Big Bang was very complicated, wasn't it? Within Matt Smith's, I think it was first series, wasn't it? Where he had the Pandora opens in the Big Bang. That was very complicated in the second part when you see Amy in the Pandora. So that was very,
Hmm.
I'd say, like, I agree with you there. Like, Moffat was very complicated with his storylines and with the silence. So a lot of those storylines were very complicated to understand, especially as a young kid.
Yeah, which I think now I
Yeah,
appreciate as an adult. I still don't love the era entirely, but I appreciate some of those narrative threads a lot more. But I think as a kid, that's part of the reason why I stopped watching is because I couldn't really follow the show anymore.
Mm.
see, I had a very differing opinion from you guys. I actually, so when Tennant left, I was distraught to the point of teachers at school having to check in on me. Like it was actually on that level. I know that's weird, but it's what happened. Like literally, I had teachers coming and being like, before Christmas, they were like, "Are you going to be all right over the holiday? Because we know what's happening." And I was like, "Yeah." Then I came back in January, and they were like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "No." Like literally, I was so sad about it. So when Matt Smith was announced, I was like, hate him, don't like him, I don't even care. I'm not seeing an episode of him. I don't want to know. And then after his first episode, I fell in love. I love the 11th Doctor a lot. I have a lot of time for the 11th, but
Thoroughly.
I I have a lot of love for 11, and I actually like all of his series. I love series 5. I love series 7. I have so much time for series 7.
But that's why it's going to be interesting, though, right? Because we're going to disagree, argue so much during season 5, series 6. Then we're going to maybe slightly disagree on series 7, but then everybody hates series 7B,
But
but
we
we love
love
series
it.
7B. I
Series
love series 7B.
7B, because here's the thing. So, Mason, when you were talking about Clara, right?
Mhm.
I totally agree. And I get that sometimes maybe Clara was there for too long. I get that. Personally, for me, I love Clara, right? And I actually wrote I wrote an essay in school about Clara. I forget what it was about, but I wrote an essay about it because I
Mhm.
felt passionately about it. I think the reason why I liked that era more, and I didn't get too confused with 11's era, even though the writing wasn't always great, and sometimes the way Stephen writes women is side-eye questionable, which we'll get to on our podcast, I'm sure. But I just found, because for me, Doctor Who's an escape, right?
Yeah.
It's an escape, and for me, it's something that I put on to kind of help with whatever's going on in life, because life can be shit, let's be honest. So when it came to when 11, so with 10 I was distraught, with 11 I did also cry. I was very sad when he left, even though his last episode, anyway. And then with 12 I was ready to embrace 12, but series 8, and I haven't revisited it since I've watched it, to be really honest with you. I've not watched it again, and when we do it on our podcast, that'll be probably the first time I revisit it in a long time. But it just felt so dull and sad and dark, and the Doctor was not a likable person, and like the Doctor all time, and it felt like it just took a negative turn, and it made me feel not as hopeful about the character, and made me feel really sad, and I just didn't like it, and I just didn't like how mean he was. But then series 9 came around and I was growing more fond of him, and then series 10 with Bill, I was just like, I love this iteration of 12. I love. If he was like that from series 8, he could have probably been one of my absolute favorite Doctors
Yeah.
ever. But and like in Husbands of River Song, I mean, Elliot and I have spoken about this before. That episode is a gorgeous piece of television. I love Peter and Alex Kingston in that episode. I just love. So I'm glad it took a good turn towards the end of his tenure, as it were. But the start was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie, it was a struggle.
Yeah. I completely agree. Like it take him a long time, like to get used to his. It's not even the fact that he's an older Doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not even that. It doesn't matter how old they are. It just matters how they're doing with the character. So whether if you speak about 10 and 11, you don't really see that consistent way they are in each of the series. With 11, even 13, you see that with her. But with 12, it's just different. Like the way he acts, the way he's doing it differently. Like the difference between Clara and Bill. is massive.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's very clingy with Clara. With Bill, it's more of like this teacher-student thing, which I like. I like it, and I did like when, like, like when the doctor says to Clara, I'm not your boyfriend." It kind of clarifies that, but it's hard. But yeah, I wanted Bill to stay on, to go with the 13th
Me
Doctor,
too.
because I think that would have been good. That would have made the series 11 better than it was. But she didn't, and she didn't have a long. She was kind of robbed, really. Bill was.
She was absolutely taken and shat on from a great height. I hate what happens to Bill. I truly cannot. I love Bill so much. Like, she was a character. So we actually had a question on the podcast not long ago, because we have a thing called 3 Mail Corner at the start of our episodes where we get emails from listeners, and we get questions usually. And someone asked, like, what is the companion? What is your dream companion? And I was like, well, Bill was kind of my dream companion, you know, a young student who's also queer and unapologetically queer, and just, you know, fun and positive, and just she was just everything I wanted. And then they just turn her into a Cyberman, and it's like, wow, the gays stay losing. Truthfully, yeah, that's what's happening, and it's just horrible. I hate what happens to her, and I think I wanted her to be a long running companion. I think she, you know, I love Pearl Mackie. I think she's an amazing actress. You know, it's just sad.
Is that not even done in like a good way?
No, it's not.
Right, you know
It's
what I
not.
mean? It's not like if you've done it for like real emotional shock and Cyberman body horror, it's just kind of, I don't know, I blocked so much of that out of my mind. Because I love
Because
the Mondasian
yeah,
Cybermen. I don't like the new Mondasian Cybermen. But that's, you know, that's
Yeah,
when we talk about the 10th planet.
I think the end was they were good episodes, except from what happened to Bill. But 'cause you had John Sim back as the Master, you had Missy, so that's a very good series. That was, but yeah. So within Regenerations, do you have a favourite that you like?
I have. Okay, I was going to say my top two, but I'm going to not be annoying, and I'm going to pick one. And my favorite regeneration, I think it's perfection. Truthfully, it's perfect. It's the Ninth Doctor's regeneration. I think it's bittersweet, and that is what a regeneration should be, in my opinion. I think it wasn't too dragged out. It was, you know, he had a moment with Rose. He had a really heartfelt moment with her, but he was like, "Don't worry, because it's going to be fantastic. You know, it's going to be great." Like I was, you were, and it's going to continue to be that. Like, it's giving the audience hope. It's giving Rose hope, and it's, you know, it's recognizing how good he was, but also how excited he is. And that's why my like close second is 13's regeneration. Not because David Tennant comes back. I mean, that's great, but that beside that is when she's like, you know, Doctor, whoever I'm about to be, tag, you're it. Like, I love the bittersweetness, but then also the hope that is yet to come. Like, we're not just crying and being like, do you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
don't want that.
Although
yeah.
there was panic that her last lines were going to be the blossomiest blossom, which I didn't
Oh,
understand what that means, and
can
I
you
was very
imagine?
confused.
Can you imagine?
Like
Can
when
you
she said those
imagine?
words, I was like, "Oh, those are so going to be the last words," and I don't understand what it means, and that's going to be really sad because this is really good so far.
But then,
Her
yeah,
last
she
lines are
says that
lovely.
amazing line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what Nines does really well is it has to reintroduce the concept of regeneration and
Yes.
explain it, but not in a ham-fisted or sort of tacky
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And it does that really well.
Yeah.
Does it have to be Doctor regenerations?
You can. What other regenerations have you got?
Well, because everybody who has listened to us gush about Utopia knows that Derek Jacobi regenerating into John Sim is one of my favourite things that the show's ever done. I love the
It's
effect.
great.
I love the screaming. I love the setup for it, and the emotion in that episode's already quite high, and I just really love that moment. So if I can be different,
Yeah,
I'm going to
good.
say that one.
It's
Yeah,
good to be different. It's good to be different. I do like
like
that
a
one as
perfect
well.
moment in that episode. It's so good.
I love Utopia. It's probably my favourite of the three of those three end episodes. I think I prefer
Mm,
Utopia than the other two.
Me
same
too.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
love the other two, but Utopia, it's almost like my series three. I think it's series three comfort episode. Because I'll
Mm.
just go and
Yeah.
watch it randomly, and then it's just awesome. Like I love the professor. I just wish the professor could have been there longer, but it was awesome. But my favorite regeneration is it's not 10, but because that just makes me sad. So
Yeah.
but it's like it's similar to you, Damla, like between 13 and the 9 and 10th one. Them two, because I like the fact we're out in the TARDIS, but I just like the fact they're short. I like that. That's the thing I like about them. I don't like Peter Capaldi's. Peter Capaldi's a very good regeneration speech, but it's too long. Like
Yeah.
you know he's
Yeah.
going. Just let him go. So I like it when they're hot, like they finished on a good way, not
Yeah.
selfish and negative. Because 10 was selfish. He was very selfish.
Oh my God, yeah.
um,
It's just, oh, get on with it.
But
Like,
the
not
thing-
get on with
the
it
thing
because I
I
love
like-
you, but
Yeah.
But the thing I like about 10 is like it's not. It goes on for ages, but the actual moment itself is small, right? Like there isn't a speech. There's no, and it feels less self-aggrandizing to me than like everything that happens with Amy and 11, or everything that happens with 12 making a speech. It just feels so much like, because everything else feels in service of like story and emotion, and then he only says one line and then it happens, rather than it being, I'm going to stand here for the last 20 minutes of the episode and talk to you about everything I've done. Joe, don't tell, maybe. I think that's probably what I'm taking away from this. And he kind of holds on to that selfishness until the last moments of End of Time, and then just
I just hate
Yeah.
his last line. I don't want to go as a last line because it's just too sad. It's like, we need to feel hopeful about the show going forward. What that does for me is as a viewer at the time, and again, I was very young at the time, so let's bear that in mind. But watching my favorite Doctor say, I don't want to go, just made me feel like, oh, okay, the show is just going to be rubbish now, or like it's not going to be as good as when you were on it, which isn't true. Because I do like the 11th Doctor, but it was just too depressing. It was like, no, don't like that.
He knows that we don't want him to go. So it was sad that it takes. I think he done have that one him nearly bawling his eyes out as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he could have made it even worse for us.
This is true. I'm glad, because I saw it on Confidential. I saw all the different takes he did, and I think the one of him bawling would have just been too much.
Yeah.
It would have been
the one
too
he does
much.
is the best one.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but do you miss like the companions being there? I know we've had it about twice, but would you rather a companion there when the regeneration is happening, or just the Doctor doing it on their own?
I do. I mean, like I said, I love the Ninth Doctor regeneration, and I think Rose adds to that as well. I think Billy being there, just kind of watching on. She doesn't really say much, and I think that's perfect. But it's just nice to know that he's the Doctor at the time being 9. He wasn't alone, and I think that was really nice. And also, you know, because it is a scary thing the Doctor goes through. Regeneration is a scary thing. It's partially exciting. For some of the Doctors, it is, especially not for 10 because he didn't want to go. But but I think it's also very scary, and I think Clara being there for 11 was nice. I liked that. It just depends. I think it depends for me, because for 13, I think it would have been nice for Yasmin to be there, but then how are you going to get her out of the series? Do you know what I mean? It's all about logistics. It depends on the mood for me, is what I'm saying. So I don't know. I don't have a definitive answer for that one.
Yeah. It depends what's happening and the plot and what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And having companions to be there can be a very useful way of you kind of getting your hand held and being told it's okay, and you get to experience this stranger through the eyes of someone you already know. But like I say, on the other hand, if you want to write them out of the series because you're trading over showrunner, you just gotta get them out some other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they can't regenerate and go, right, go on.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Off you go.
Yeah, thanks for being there, but I don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like to see more regenerations like the Master one that you like, Elliot. Like, because they must hurt, mustn't it? Like it must hurt when they're doing it. It's like they're not having any pain; they just stand there. So, like, want some emotion from them.
Yeah. So you got the rainbow colours, which I mean is just iconic. and the screaming, and I also like them being able to see it outside the TARDIS. I'd like more shots like that where you can see the regeneration energy sort of, you know, flickering in the TARDIS windows. Just some stuff like that.
It's very cool.
It would be really interesting.
That would be nice. But with representation for Doctor Who, there's so many communities involved, isn't there? So like
Yes.
the ones that we spoke about, and like the autistic community is actually very involved in it as well.
Mhm.
Because you have like it. I didn't know about it only till maybe 2020 time, but when like especially like on TikTok, and a load of people have autism or they are neurodivergent, and Doctor Who's very, they don't say it in Doctor Who, but you'll see from the Doctor they may have like maybe TARDIS for example, very sensory, like touching and the noises, like playing with the TARDIS and the way they are very laid back. So there's loads of things there that is very relevant to it.
Yeah. Yeah, we always sort of say that, you know, 10 especially is very sensory in the way he sort of interacts with the world to sort of get his information and understanding of things that are going on. He's licking things and poking things, and he sort of, you know, gets his sort of sense of understanding of alien things by going through more kind of like sensory experiences, which is just really nice because, like you say, I think you don't necessarily, the show doesn't necessarily need to say it, but it's really lovely that it's sort of there enough for people to be able to read into it, and it seemed like quite a strong argument to make. You know, it does feel very good. I'm sort of really happy that more people have sort of taken to it and flocked to the show because of it, because it does seem like quite a almost an obvious thing to point out about the Doctor, which is really lovely.
Yeah, there's so many things there, which is why I do a series about it. Because being autistic, you wonder why it has so much impact. You know, it's a comfort show, and as well raising awareness, because everyone knows what Doctor Who is. Really, they've probably heard of it, and it's very common. But not so much the other side of like a personal journey or autism in general. So it just educates people, you know, just to raise that little bit of awareness.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not autistic myself. I'm trying to get some diagnoses for like, you know, ADHD, things like that. And I know that ADHD is a big, a lot of people with ADHD identify with the show as well. And it's important. I think it's important, and I think what I love, and Daniel Radcliffe actually says something about this, not for Doctor Who, but to do with Harry Potter. Because he came out and spoke out against, you know, that woman, which I won't say her name because she doesn't deserve any airtime. But come out and said, if you think that Draco and Harry, for example, are in love, you are allowed to think that. That is something you're allowed to. If that's how you, if that's something you identify with, you know, that's fine. If you think a character is non-binary and that's how you identify them, that's fine. If you think this character is this or that, and I think what's lovely is that there is this way of kind of interpreting fictional characters and how you can see yourself in these fictional characters. And I think, like you say, Mason, you know, a lot of people in the, you know, who are autistic identify with the Doctor a lot, and I think that's lovely. And it doesn't have to be explicitly said. It really doesn't. If you identify with a character or a show for a specific reason, and you have your own headcanons and things like that, I love a headcanon myself. I think that's a really lovely thing.
Yeah, it's companion as well, because sometimes I'll do these occasional edit videos where I did one of Clara, because like and Amy, because you can see that with them and the way they are. A lot of Doctor Who characters are like that, and it's just great to associate yourself with that and raise awareness, because like you say, neurodivergent is like a big ball, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. So like you have all these other things with it. So you have ADHD, you might have dyspraxia, they did that in Doctor Who. So dyslexia. So you have all those different things, and I call the series autism because out of everything, I identify with me, but it leads into other stuff as well, with the neurodivergency things. But it's really cool. It's really cool, and you just get to talk about something that we all love.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that, like, because I you know, because I saw your Clara edit on Instagram, and I think again that's really interesting because I would never have kind of seen it that way. But then now you've said it, it's like, okay, actually that makes a lot more sense. And I mean, I don't know, Elliot, do you have any, like, when you watch the show, do you have your own kind of like little observations like that as well?
Do you know what? I don't ever think I had. It was actually doing the show together and kind of talking about things that made me kind of start to actually think about it more and kind of identify it more, because, you know, predominantly always looked at it kind of through a queer lens, which, I mean, you know, it's all we do. It's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
And that's really lovely, but it was really actually interesting. It's funny the sort of things you can understand when you sit down with other people and start having conversations about things that other people are noticing, and it kind of like clears some things up in your head. Like, I probably, before we were doing the show, if somebody had said to me about sort of, you know, 10 as a character being able to be rated as sort of neurodivergent, I probably would have said, you know,
Yeah.
I guess maybe, yeah. But then we start talking about it, and I go, oh, it's everywhere. It's so baked into that character and the things he does and the way he interacts with the environment, that I now can't help but see it. So as I'm actually sort of looking, you know, as part of why, you know, doing this with you, Mason, was so interesting, was just because I was like, well, yeah, it's something that we feel very passionate about, but also have not been able to explore beyond where we are in the series at the moment, and it will be nice to actually be able to talk about it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what I do, like, I did a similar series to this last year, but I call it just Doctor Who and Autism series. But this year, celebrations, because it celebrates the 60th, but celebrates autism and being neurodivergent as well. But
Yeah.
having people on as well, so I'll have some people on that maybe like Doctor Who, but they don't have it themselves, and which is a good way to raise awareness, because I think most people, a lot of people will have heard of autism. It's not like a lost cause, but they may not know the knowledge that they should. So whenever I'll use that as an opportunity, because the podcast has lots of different series, maybe about Doctor Who and autism this time, mental health another time, Crohn's, which I have too. So just about sharing people's journeys, but as well as educating them as much as you can.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I mean, look, we've said, like, one of the reasons we wanted to agree to do this, because Elliot, it's something for you that is very personal. But then on top of that, again, we very much, like, part of why we wanted to do our podcast is because there are, you know, there's great creators in the Doctor Who space, especially queer creators. You know, there's so many people, but we didn't really find a lot of, like, because we don't call ourselves a rewatch podcast, we're more of a discussion podcast. But I personally had never listened to a podcast. Maybe I need to expand my horizons a bit more. But I personally hadn't listened to a Doctor Who podcast that spoke about some of the topics that we would bring up, right? Like,
Yeah.
You know, and we're very much, you know, like, for example, like with a character like Cassandra, for example, very random, but a character like Cassandra in Doctor Who, because she's a trans woman, and people don't realize that, because obviously she in the episode End of the World, she talks about when she used to live on Earth and when she was a little boy, you know, and we discussed that in End of the World and in New Earth, and how her ending is really, you know, quite beautiful, because it's basically like she's accepted herself properly, and her you know, her dying words are to herself, and it's all very round and lovely. It's a lovely message for the trans community, and it's just stuff like that. And I think, you know, what you're doing on this podcast is great, and I think, you know, it's really important to discuss representation within things that we love. I think it's really important for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's about having the fun where you can just go and sit around and do quotes and enjoy bits and stuff like that, but also not being afraid of talking about some of the more personal things, or things that are important that other people maybe aren't discussing, because it is also an important element of the show. Yeah, And it's why,
Absolutely.
and it's why we end up getting so much flack sometimes. But you just gotta go through it.
It's one of those things, like negativity comes with the nature of like when you're talking about representation, and no matter who it's about and what community it's about. But quite frankly, and it's easier said than done. I personally don't take a lot of it to heart because I don't care. I just don't care. When people have negative things to say, I'm like, go tell someone else. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's also about educating people and calling out behavior like that. Even within the show, sometimes we call out behavior within the show that isn't the best. And
and if you can like help feel one person feel less alone, or help one person who maybe was sort of a bit ignorant about something understand something, or even just help someone see something through a completely different lens they might not have considered before, then you've done something good. And it doesn't
I think
it doesn't matter.
I think sometimes people are very serious. If you say something, you may interpret it as a joke, and then another person will take that to heart. And it is hard. It is hard. Like with what I do, I don't say my podcast is a Doctor Who podcast, but why? Because in the logo, I put hobbies. So this is why I do a series like this, just so I talk about my hobbies, like football as well. Might do one for the World Cup next year. So, or the Euros next year, sorry. So it's just something that you could do. It's all to do with your hobbies, isn't it? Like a podcast, you do it. That is your hobby because you like doing it. That you want to raise awareness of points in the show, or like we say, talk about personal points, share personal stories. Everyone's different, but that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, exactly. And
no,
you go, babe. You go, babe. You go. You go.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say I can't speak for both of us, but if you do end up doing a series on Doctor Who mental health as well, I'd be up for that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Not forcing you into a booking right now. I'm just saying I would. That's also something we care quite a lot about. So
that is a good shout, actually, to do that maybe a separate series next year or something. That we could do our own one. Maybe Doctor Who mental health, because that is very important.
It is. And what I was going to say was, so like I said, we get emails in the show and we read them out, and we get a lot of emails from people saying that Doctor Who is their special interest, and they like listening to the podcast because they can indulge in that special interest. And I think that's also really important as well, because for Doctor Who is a lot of people's special interest,
Yeah, and it it's hard to say because obviously we're the ones providing the content. And I sort of don't want to put myself in anybody else's shoes, but there are also things that I have periods of hyperfixation on that I start talking to people about, and I can see whether it's family or friends or people that I live with, and I can see their eyes glazing over because because they don't care and they're not interested. So I can having that kind of space and that outlet is really important for people. I'm not going to claim that we do help people, but but we've got some correspondence here and there for people, so it's nice. It's nice, and it is important to keep building those spaces for people because it's hard to go through periods of being really, really fixated on something, and everyone in your life kind of be really dismissive of what you're interested in at the moment because they find you annoying. It's nice to have an outlet for it.
Yeah,
really nice to have an outlet for it. That's
kind
of why we do the show, right? That's my outlet.
Yeah. That's a good point. Like, but I think that is a very good idea. Like, we'll talk more about it. We will, like, about the mental health and Doctor Who series we could all do together. But
because we're very open about it.
Yeah, it would be nice. Because I think I've only done one episode in particular about that. It was in May, I think. And a person came on. They were like a nurse within mental health and talking about how Doctor Who's impacted. But there's lots of signs in Doctor Who that you could talk about the mental health side of it, and what maybe the Doctor's done or just in general. But let's speak about 10-0 because we haven't really spoke about that, have we? We spoke about him in general, but we haven't actually spoke about his series. And I know before we started, we had a lot of opinions on that. On his time. So what series should we start with? Should we start with series 2?
Yeah, sure. Go on then, in order. Why not?
Okay. So what do we think of series 2, guys?
Well, So it is known, again, if anyone listens to the podcast, it is known that we are big fans of series 2. It is, and I get why people don't like it. Just to clarify, I do get why some people don't like it. But Elliot, we were talking about this recently. Like, we're so sad that we won't be able to talk about series 2 again because we've got so much to get through. But I miss that series. I miss talking about it. I love it so much. It's so fun.
It's other than maybe one episode, it is the flawless series for me. The one where I have no complaints episode to episode, and I'm having a good time. We love Rose and 10.
Yes, we do. We love Rose and 10 a lot. Yeah.
And I think the fact that I know it's so controversial that there are people are just like, oh, I get really sick of Rose, and I don't like it, and all the stories are bad. I'm like, yeah, but have you actually considered that it's really good?
Yeah.
And we just love it. And it's probably nostalgia, right? I don't know. I love series 1, but I don't know. I can go back and I can be so much more critical of it and go, oh, maybe this doesn't work. But there's just something about series 2, the time I was watching it, maybe, where none of it. I can't criticize any of it. It's so perfect. It's just a perfect little thing.
But yeah, no, like you said, there is one episode in particular that we actually made an episode on and have made clips on since, and it caused a ruckus. It did cause a bit of a ruckus on TikTok. Because we're not fans of Girl in the Fireplace at all. Like, we actually actively hate it a little bit because it's it's problematic, to say the least. Really weird episode. Don't like it.
Yeah, like, I never particularly liked it when I was younger, but it's just sort of the combination of that sort of Stephen Moffat style of writing occasionally that I don't enjoy. Some of the problematic stuff he does, and people will complain at us for this, but also kind of forgets that 10 and Rose are in a relationship at that point, and we're not fond of that.
Yep.
Or they're in a relationship, but they love each other, and he is just willing to leave her behind for a French noble woman. I don't buy it.
Yeah, don't buy it.
Yeah.
No.
My opinion on series 2. So series 2, I think it's not my favourite series out of the David Tennant's era. I'll tell you my favourite series in a minute. But when we get to that series, but I like series 2 because it's probably what made me like Doctor Who more. Series 1's good, but series 2, it's okay. It's not my favourite series because I feel like there's not much. Like, it's almost like there's not much of a plot in the way during this. Like, you have these episodes, but it's not like it's an ongoing thing. So I did, like, you see the Cybermen and Daleks twice, which wasn't my most, at the time. I loved it. I was a kid. I loved seeing them. But looking back now, I don't think we needed to see them twice, because it was only like 3 or 4 episodes later we see them again. So, but I did really like the finale. The finale was good.
The
finale was good. But to get on the fireplace, for me, I do really like it. It's one of my episodes I'll go to watch, but I understand why people may not like it because of the reasons that you're saying. Like, before I wouldn't think about that. I just thought it's a nice episode. I like the music in it. It's really chill. But
I do like the music, to be fair.
Yeah.
The music's good.
Yeah, I love the music, and I love the whole concept of it. But at the same time, and you got the horse. That's pretty funny. Because I went to the scene outside and Get on the Fireplace where the Doctor's hovering over the rock and Madame de Pompadour's in the middle of the grass. Well, I went to that location and I did video there, a picture. And then the funny thing is, when I saw David Tennant, I put side by side pictures of us because he was there as well. And I said, look, I'm there 15 years later. And I said to him, that's one of my favourite episodes. It's one of my favourite episodes purely because the whole vibe. But at the same time, looking at it and how you're saying about it's kind of, which he had, he's kind of abandoned to go over this, let's say, princess or queen, whatever Madame de Pompadour is, just to go for her and leave Rose behind, which is sad.
It's also, though, I think the main thing that we find issue with is that he meets her as a child and then 2 seconds later meets her as an adult. It's just creepy. It's just
Yeah,
weird.
that is
Yeah,
creepy.
he does it. He does it a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just standing there, isn't he? He's standing on the fireplace.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
we know we're also in the minority, which is why it makes it fun when we have hot takes, because we do have some hot takes. And we're not worried, are we, about,
No.
oh well, yeah, if we say we don't like going to the fireplace, that people might get annoyed, because it encourages discussion, and some people might see it from our POV and other people might not, and it's fine, and we're aware of the minority. However, where we can't disagree, Mason, what's your opinion on Love and Monsters?
Love and Monsters. The best part of the episode is when they play Blue Sky. I love that song. I like
It's a
that
good
part
bit.
of it. Yeah, I like when he's dancing. Forgot the guy's name, but who actually plays it. But it's a bit
Mark
of
Warren.
yeah, him. Yeah. I think when I watched it, I was bored. I'll say I was bored. When I first watched it, I was thinking, I can't wait to next week's episode. But it's creepy, I think, because of the exorbitant loss of eating these people. As a kid, you're creeped out. You're creeping out. I'm there saying to my mum, "Is this going to happen to me? Am I going to do this?" And yeah, it was very creepy. And the pavement thing at the end as well.
Don't. Oh.
But it's not the worst episode. It's okay, but I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't continuously watch that episode over and over again.
I mean, I don't want to say for 100% sure, in case I've got all my facts wrong, but I believe it was in my top 5 for series 2.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We love
I'm
it.
pretty sure
we love
Love
Yeah,
Monsters.
it's good. It has good parts, but the episode as a whole is alright. But just those parts in it just aren't the best. Like the pavement thing, especially the pavement thing. I just thought it was creepy.
I mean, it is pretty creepy, but I also just kind of love it.
Yeah.
Elton Fetch a Spade lives rent free in my head.
Yeah. What do you think of Fear Her?
I mean, like, at worst, I think it's just kind of boring, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's probably my least favorite from series 2. That and Girl in the Fireplace would be the ones I'd skip on a rewatch. I could watch the whole rest of the series, but only because it's just kind of boring rather than being offensively bad. And I think we talked about it actually for a lot longer than we thought we were going to, didn't we? Because it has a lot of really good ideas that are worth getting into and discussing. It just doesn't execute them very well.
Yeah.
And last episode we'll cover on series 2, Idiot's Lantern. What do you think of Idiot's Lantern?
It's fun. It's fun.
We like it. Yeah. It's kind of it's objectively probably not very good, but I can watch it and enjoy it. And if I say now, I think I said it on the show at the time, it's Mark Gatiss' best episode for the show.
Me too. Yeah.
It is okay. It's at the time when they did so many scary episodes, didn't they, in series 2? Actually, if you think about it, as a kid, it's like what I love. I love that kind of stuff. I want it to be more. I want it to happen again, because as it went on, especially with Stephen Moffat, there wasn't very scary, was it? Like, you had some scary episodes, but not like them. Like, one with Matt Smith that comes to mind is the George one where he had the closet of the dolls.
Yeah. Night Terrors,
Night Terrors was pretty scary, wasn't it?
I love that episode.
Hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, God Complex, yeah,
which I do really like. God Complex, actually, yeah.
I do love Night Terrors though. That's one. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really love that episode. I have a lot of time for it.
Night Terrors.
We're both big horror fans. Like a lot of queer people. Love horror for some reason.
I love horror
and
too,
I think I think that's probably why series 2 might be my favorite, because I think it is quite, like I say, every episode, even when it's not objectively a horror story, there are some things in it's really hardcore. Like I say, even the Idiot's Lantern, which is a bit silly, as a child, like seeing Tommy's gran just faceless standing upstairs in the back bedroom is just really weird and uncanny and scary. It's cool.
Can we talk about series 3?
Absolutely.
our most recent series.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you like series 3? What do you think of it?
I
Damla,
really
I'll let you go
love.
first.
Yeah, I really love it. Because my favorite companion gets introduced. Martha. Oh God, she's my favorite companion. Who would have thought? No one saw that coming. Yeah, she's a wonderful character, and you know, my main criticism of the series, and sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. It's just I have very conflicted feelings, but this is the first series where 10 for me is pretty crap. And what I mean by that is he's always a good doctor. Tennant is always consistent. 10 is always consistent. I just mean he treats her like crap, and it's hard to watch sometimes.
Especially in the Shakespeare Code.
Oh God. Oh God.
Ah.
That episode. I mean, that episode.
Mm.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
That bed scene. What are you saying? I wonder what Rose would do.
I mean, we made a
Yeah.
TikTok about that, and that got us a bit of flack as well. Because we discussed that scene, and we were just saying how he was just being a complete twat, like just being awful.
The funny thing is, Rose wouldn't know what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. She wouldn't. Like, we love her, but no.
Yeah.
No,
She
yeah.
wouldn't know.
But series 3 is probably my least favorite Russell-led series. I think I don't know why. There's just something about it. When I go back and I think about the episodes individually, there aren't that many that I would instinctively go back and rewatch. And I like the vibes overall. I mean, I love Martha. I love Free Regiment. I love the finale, and there are some episodes that I enjoy. Of course, there are. But generally, it's the one probably that I'm hardest on episode to episode of just going, some of these are just no good.
Yeah.
Or even ones that like are good, but I don't love them as much as other people, right? Like I think, like our controversial takes on Human Nature, Family of Blood is like it's the two-part. Everybody's like, this is perfection, and we're like, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Blink, I'm like, it's good.
Yeah. From
From
an autistic perspective on the Human Nature Family Blood, I was so annoyed in the Family Blood when when Baines is sniffing all the time. It just irritated me. When I see it, he's sniffing all the time. And I know that's like probably for the family, or they're all doing that, but it was just irritating.
Yeah, but it's that sort of using like a sort of a like trait of sort of and then sort of reframing it as being kind of creepy and weird, and it's kind of like it's just it can get a bit much, can't it?
Yeah, as the episode on the whole, I did like the end of the first episode. I like that cliffhanger. I did really like that cliffhanger, and I think the actor who's played Baines was really good.
We talk about him a lot. He's like the best part of that whole two-parter.
He's great. Like the way he is, the way he's talking. It was good, but I think the controversial thing about the whole entire episode is that John Sim isn't wearing the correct clothes for that era. I think he's not like he's wearing casual, I think, clothes which you wouldn't wear in that era, whether it's set.
Yeah, because I think when's it sort of, it's like early, well, it's just before the First World War, isn't it? It's like 1913, 1914, whatever it is. Yeah. I like all that kind of stuff though.
Yeah.
Historical inaccuracies never overly bothered me. But then that's just because I have a problem with most of the episodes writing. So
yeah,
who cares what he's wearing? When I've got story complaints.
Yeah.
This is me and my priorities.
Right. The Jadoon, like the first episode was alright. I think like the Jadoon
we
on
like
the moon.
Smith and Jones a lot.
Yeah, Smith and Jones.
Yeah, Smith and Jones is good.
Yeah.
And we always, the one thing we say about Gridlock is that we always forget that we like Gridlock until we watch Gridlock.
Yeah.
And then we remember that we like Gridlock.
It's a very forgettable episode, isn't it?
Yeah, you just sort of don't ever think about it, and then we watch it. We're like, why do we not watch this more often? Because it's actually really fun. But then I don't ever remember it.
Yeah, because we you just said we were we look at series 3 and we go, oh, Gridlock, and you forget about it. But then you actually watch it, and you're like, this is actually a good episode. This is actually really good.
Yeah.
So it wastes the macro a little, but
Yeah, it was a good episode, and I remember when seeing David Tennant, he was asked, like, do you like cats? And because he's holding all these little kittens, and he was like, I'm not. He says, I'm not much of a cat person, really. And then he says how adorable they were, though. He said he does like those little kittens. But
Oh,
yeah,
cats are the best.
Yeah, everyone was very sad when the doctor doesn't like cats.
Yeah. I love the episode was good. It was good. I did like that one, and then well, you had the Lazarus experiment. That was what did you like that one?
I think I don't mind it personally. I mean, it's not brilliant, but it kind of falls into that sort of almost like Idiot's Lantern category for me, where I think I can watch it and I can enjoy it, but I'm never going to necessarily go, oh, you've not seen Doctor Who, you need to watch the Lazarus Experiment. But
yeah,
it's a fun sort of like 45-minute slice of Doctor Who. Some of it gets a bit boring, but it is quite fun and quite funny in places, and some of the dialogue's quite good.
yeah, I don't mind it as well. I feel the same as you. Like, it's very much like I'm not going to skip it on a rewatch, but it's not anywhere near my top favorite episodes either.
Yeah.
I think my least favorite from series 3 is Shakespeare Code.
Me too. Yeah.
Top to bottom.
I went to the Lazarus Experiment where the church where it was.
Oh yeah.
It was by coincidence. I was just nearby when I was on holiday once. And then hang on, it's filmed there. It's not in Cardiff. It's somewhere different.
Oh.
That is surprising.
Yeah,
That is surprising.
It wasn't in Cardiff, so I'm on holidays. I can't actually remember where it was, but it had this church, and I think it's the same place where Harry Potter was filmed. One of the places Harry Potter was filmed. And yeah, the guy sees me wearing my Doctor Who top, and so, oh, you like Doctor Who? Doctor Who was filmed there. I was here when they filmed it all those years ago.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And I said, yeah. That's the reason I'm here. Not to pay my respects to the service, but just for Doctor Who.
Doctor Who's my religion.
Yeah.
Don't know about you.
Yeah, it is the religion. And then he was like, well, if you wait till we shut, I'll let you go up the piano bit where David Tennant sat.
Oh wow.
And I was like, well, we really okay. I'll wait, and then I'm up there, and it's so small. You can't be tall. David Tennant's so small. If you're tall, you're not going to get up there because of tiny steps, and then there's not much room up there either.
Oh my gosh.
There's not much room. So I'm doing a little video explaining where it is. I'm on the piano and saying. So what they would have done with the cameras, there would have been no room for the cameras to fit. So they would have they had these long sticks, like those long ones, and then they can't see him, so the camera would just be above him. And then you'll have the walkway, which I couldn't go up there, but you have the walkway where Tish and Martha was running, and all around there, and then the chairs of the places where the Lazarus fell down. So he let me go there, and
wow.
I thought that was really fun. And I said thank you and everything. And then talking about Shakespeare Code, I went to by coincidence, was not filmed in Cardiff. Was filmed in Coventry because I went to a Comic-Con and it was literally there. And we got on this big palaver because I was in my Doctor Who stuff. It was about the rain. Asked this taxi driver, where is this? It was filmed in this like wedding reception thing.
Oh right.
And asking the taxi guy, where is so and so street? And he was asking me all 20 questions, saying why do you want to go there? And I was saying, well, he's saying, are you going for a wedding? And like, no. He didn't understand, so he took me, he told me where it was, and yeah, I just went there because of Doctor Who location. Probably the only thing they've done in Coventry, I think, but it's good enough. But what I try and do every year, so earlier this year, I did go to Cardiff to do a few Doctor Who locations.
Oh, nice.
Because on my TikTok it's full of just cosplay and Doctor Who stuff. Like I'll go to the locations, explain where it is. Went to where the 60th was filmed.
Nice.
My favourite is the girl. Well, it's probably not my favourite. Just where the girl on the fireplace was filmed, the outdoor scene, they have the same place around the corner where you know the girl who waited, old Amy. You know that scene where Rory gets slapped and he falls on the floor on the outside. Well, that particular scene is the same where Missy Heaven is. You know, the fountain.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's in exactly the
Yes.
same place. And then round the corner is where the 11th Doctor gets married to River, in the same place, all in the same building. So
Oh my God.
it's all there, and I went to that last year. Didn't go to that this year because did that last year. But a cool fact for you is Hyde, the episode Hyde, like the scary one, is the same place where the Poison Sky was filmed.
Oh, nice.
Because it's the same building. And then you know where he has a small shot in Hyde with his camera. He's going back in time, and he's in front of the steps. That's in the same place of where Poison Sky is filmed as well. At the end, where the Doctor is putting the gas out in the air with Martha and Donna.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
I know the place.
Yeah.
That's
They love
I
to
remember-
repurpose sets, don't they?
yeah.
It's
Well, yeah, I
very
remember like
interesting.
3 years ago now, going on a day trip to Cardiff and going into the Cardiff Museum to see a Richard Burton exhibition. And like as soon as I stepped through those doors, I was like, oh, this is from 20 different episodes of Doctor Who. This is brilliant. Yeah, it was really weird. It was such a strange feeling.
I went to, so I mentioned on podcast before, in like 2014 or something. My parents took me to Cardiff for like a Doctor Who holiday, kind of. This was when the experience was still there. And we went and did that, obviously. And then I went on a Doctor Who bus tour. I don't know if the same guy still does it. He was very good, whoever he was. I recommend him highly. To this day, I still remember him because he was so funny. But we went to all the different locations, and we went inside. You know, in Cardiff Bay, there's the big building with the Welsh writing, and where the big. I don't know what it's called.
I know what you mean. The Millennium Centre, I think it's called, isn't it?
That's it, the Millennium Centre. That's it. And I went in there, and I was like, this is where the hospital was filmed in New Earth. This is where Apalachia was filmed in Girl Who Waited. You know, it's just. I love that they repurpose things. It's kind of part of the inside joke of the show, isn't it? That like half of the locations have been used before. It's very funny. I do like it. I think it's quite fun. I like it.
Yeah.
It's all very charming.
And of course, in that place, the Millennium Centre, on the stairs is where the Master addresses the nation as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then you see the 4 pillars outside of the Millennium Centre. And you'll see like a lot of Doctor Who episodes are filmed there. One in particular that it may not be as noticeable is Time Heist, where they're about to go into the heist, that Peter Capaldi episode.
Yes.
And he'll be walking with the guy and the teller, I think, as well. And then that is basically there, but they just cancelled it all out, so you can't really tell.
Oh well, I mean, the Cardiff Bay has been used in. It's just where Torchwood is set as well, and I mean, the Rift. It's the Rift to people who know. To cool people, it's the Rift. It's where the Rift is. Do you know what I mean?
Shame we can't go in it.
I know. It's very fun because Elliot and I were saying that we'll probably want to do like a little day in Cardiff. Just do nerdy things. Like we want to go to is it Ed's Diner where Impossible Planet was not Impossible Planet. What am I talking about? Gosh, the Impossible Astronaut.
I know the one you mean, but it's very sad what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, go on.
It's not there anymore.
Oh my God, when did they close?
I went like about 2 years ago, and I was looking for it, but it's literally they've shut it. They've shut it not long ago. I think like a couple of years ago.
Is it a chain? Is it one of the Ed's Easy Diners,
Yeah, it is.
No,
It's the exact
or is it
diner.
just a?
well, when I went, right, it's like Eddie's Diner or something, but it's
Yeah,
not
that's
the
what
Ed's
it's
Diner. I don't think it's the Ed's Diner
It's not a
chain
chain.
because it was different.
Yeah.
It was different
Oh.
menu. It was different items.
Oh, okay.
Um, but they had a TARDIS store in the back to
Yeah.
obviously,
They do.
you know,
Yeah.
pay tribute. But how sad, because I wanted to go there and have a little
Yeah.
burger, you know, take some photos. Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe we
so
still
sad.
go have a burger in Cardiff if you
Yeah.
want.
I mean, we can, but it's not going to be the same, is it?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of this particular restaurant, but there's
Go on.
there's a restaurant called Five Guys, and you could easily just go in there and pretend you're in that diner because they look like the walls in there look exactly the same. Like very
Oh, there you go,
similar.
hack.
Yeah.
It's a hack.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to pay the price of a Comic-Con photograph of David Tennant for a burger, sure.
Or we could go to the cafe that's in Boomtown, you know, the one that's above the water, the
Oh,
one that's
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
hovering above, and we could just, you know,
Just go in there.
Yeah,
have
we
a
go to
little, yeah.
whatever restaurant he takes Margaret to. We can have
That
steak.
that's an
Chicken
Italian.
chips.
I think that's an Italian restaurant now, but it's the same place. Where they filmed it. But yeah, that's so fun going to all these different locations. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Like one that I love going to is the 11th Hour where that was set. That
Mm.
was really
Oh
nice.
yeah, the village. Yeah,
Cold Village,
Village.
yeah.
I still can't believe the duck pond isn't real. It's quite mad, isn't it?
It's annoying because it would fit it would fit really well. I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, and the telephone box is not there either. So
Yeah, a lot of it isn't. It
No.
wasn't real. They just kind of did the village up, but it's a beautiful little village, and
Mhm.
you know the house that 11 runs out of at one point. It's like a white house.
yeah.
People like taking photos in front of it, but yeah, the tour guide was kind of saying how a lot of people just don't like people taking photos in front of their houses, which is fine because it's their houses, you know. That's
Mhm.
not a bad thing, but it's hard because it's like I want to take a photo, but also I don't want it to infringe on anyone's privacy. It's very yeah, it's how I felt at Amy and Rory's house because I went there as well. I didn't go right up to the door because I didn't want to disturb anyone living there because someone was living there. But I was in the park where, you know, where 11 played like in Power of Three, you know.
Oh yeah, that one, the one they got after the God Complex.
Yeah. And I just I was there and I was taking like photos from afar, but it is hard because people do actually live in these buildings. But like the people who live in Sarah Jane's house, they're quite open apparently. They're down for whatever.
They are very because I've been there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I went inside.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I went inside and they're very nice, understanding, and
I didn't go inside. I'm jealous.
yeah. If you want to go inside these kind of places, you should write a letter. If you write a letter, they normally say yes. Because
Oh, okay, cool.
because you know where the Waters of Mars, the house where Adelaide Brooke went into. Well, I emailed them and I said, can I do the scene outside your house where, like, at the end? So, and then all I need for you to do is open your door and shut it, like it's been sonicked. And I can send you that video. It's really cool.
Oh, please do.
But it's almost like it's actually been sonicked, but I'm actually shutting the video while it's paused. But they said yes, and they allowed me in. They gave me tea cakes as well, and, and it was all very nice. And I think the person who lives there, their son or something is autistic. So I sent them my podcast because
amazing.
the autism and that, and yeah. So that's what I did send it to a couple other locations, houses like where the Tylers residences in the Sideman episode, because that's all private land, you can't get in there. And I did send a letter to the house, you know, the house in Little Amy's house, like from the first episode. Because that would be so fun to do some videos in there, but they didn't respond. So some people don't, some people do, but Sarah Jane Adventures house, people in there are very nice.
Well, it's nice that I think they probably appreciate that you asked, because a lot of people are rude and just go and take photos in front of people's houses without, and like you know, you can take photos to an extent from a distance and whatever, but like when you're going right up to the front door and doing all this kind of thing, it's like, just because it was in the show doesn't mean you have permission. And I think they probably really appreciated you just taking that time and emailing and actually making sure they were comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's very interesting what they tell you as well. They tell you what happened, like tell a few information, how David Tennant goes in there to say hi for the day, and they go out to work and they come back and everyone's outside. So it's all nice. It's all very nice. But so what about series 4? Did you like series 4?
So we're currently doing that on the podcast at the moment. We're at the very start. We just recorded Partners in Crime the other day. And yeah, no, it's a very, very fun series. I really love it. It's one of my favorites. And I just think it's mainly brilliant because of David and Catherine's chemistry. I mean, it's out of this world how incredible they are together. They're so good.
They are.
Yeah. Without, I suppose, wanting to go into super spoilers for our upcoming series, it's going to be basically a repeat of series 3, I think, where we kind of get off to a good start, and then I have a real issue in the middle with some episodes that I just would never even necessarily choose to rewatch. But then we get to the essentially 5 episode long finale of, midnight into Turn Left, into Stolen Earth, into Journey's End, and it's all just, it's brilliant from there on out. So there's a lot of stuff to love in series 4. There's just also a couple of episodes I'm not overly fond of, but it is brilliant. Generally, I mean, it's
very good.
It's okay if you say anything from your series, because this episode is out in November.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I don't know when you're planning, if you're doing some for November, but so it's okay.
Yeah, we're unsure at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I mean, the plan is probably to we're probably going to get to around just before Turn Left.
Yeah, I think we're gonna maybe sort of save Turn Left, Stolen Earth, Journey's End for after we've discussed the specials. But it all depends on when they air, really, because it's, at the moment we don't know, so we kind of are stuck in limbo. But at the moment, that's the plan, hopefully, is to take a break after midnight and just do the 60th anniversary.
Yeah.
So because series 4 is one of my favourite series as well. But speaking about the 60th anniversary, what is your preference? By this time we'll know, because we probably would know as this episode is airing now. But at the moment we don't know as recording. So what is your preference for the dates? Because I imagine one of them will be on the 23rd, which is a Thursday, which would be odd because we don't have it on the Thursday. But so the 3 dates, what would your preference to be in what order do you think?
My preference instinctively would be airing across 3 different weeks rather than 3 nights in a row. And I don't think they would go for a Thursday time slot because it seems weird. But I would like to have it, start of November, Thursday, middle of November, and then the final one, the one where David presumably regenerates and we get our first glimpse of Shooty proper as being the 23rd of November. I don't want it to start then. I want it to end then for myself. And then you've got just over a month to wait until Christmas for a special. So that would be my ideal schedule.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't have as much of a preference. I'm just like whatever. I'm happy. I have a feeling. I have a theory though. Can I say a theory? What I think might happen?
Yeah.
Well, I'll speculate.
I don't know what date it'll be, but I have a feeling they're going to pull a Taylor Swift and they're going to just drop all 3 in one go. They could, but that's a trend at the minute with a lot of things, is dropping things in one night or all in one go or whatever. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having 3 nights on the trot, but I think, obviously, I don't think it'd be right for them to drop them all in one night, but they could, because that's a massive trend at the minute, and also especially with streaming. But that's what I think might happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen. That's what I think might happen.
Yeah.
I don't have a preference. I won't complain about how it's airing. The only way I will complain is if I get to the 1st of November and I go, Doctor Who Specials month, and then we have to wait until the 29th or the 30th of November before the first episode comes out, because that month will just be painful.
It will be,
so
yeah.
long to wait. I'll be so like, oh, just give it to me. But that's fan entitlement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my preference has changed. For originally, I was like, Christmas specials on the 25th. Good. So my preference was going to be, it's changed now, but originally it was 23rd, and then I think you had the 30th is the Saturday, and then you're going into December for the last one. That was my original preference, but now it's changed. So now my preference is, because I put a post up and there was loads of comments saying the same thing and what people wanted. But so now it makes more sense to have the first, because while Blue Yonder, I think like people want it to the 23rd to be either the first special or the last special, but I want it to be the second special, and I want it to be the second special because that's the most mysterious special out the lot. And
True.
so the 18th is a Saturday, I believe. So I feel like the Star Beast should go on that date, and then we have the Thursday for the 23rd, and then the 30th is the last special, and then I think that would work because that's all in November, and then you go on to the Christmas special on the 25th. There's so many ways they can do it, but I feel like the 23rd, have it the most unexpected special, because really we know what's happening. We don't know what's happening in Star Beast because we have a good idea what's going to happen in Star Beast, but Blue Yonder we know nothing. Giggle we know nothing really.
Yeah, but it's the one that no one can even speculate about, right? Like, it's like Star Beast, we know it's Beat the Meat. We know that you're going to be meeting Donna and you're going to be meeting Rose, and we introduced to all these characters, and it's going to be interesting. And we know the Giggle is going to be about Neil Patrick Harris's character, and it's he could be the toy maker, and we can speculate about whether or not that's true. But there's all these theories about it. But yeah, I had no idea what Wild Blue Yonder is about at all. And it seems it's the one that they always say they did the most indoor filming for, so it seems the most cameo likely one. Not that I like to speculate wildly on things like that, but it seems to be the one. If we were going to get big cameos, it would be in the one where they didn't film in public and no one could see.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah, because
so
the only theory I could say about Wild Blue Yonder would be the Doctor. How I mean by that is what I mean the Doctor, the Metacrisis Doctor, because he is blue. He's wearing a blue suit, so that's the only thing I could say about that episode. I know nothing. The only thing we know is that the Donna's in trouble. Really, that's the only thing that we can say we know from that little glitchy thing that they showed us.
And have we seen any footage of? I mean, I've not analysed the trailers enough, but I don't think we've seen any kind of crossover of like the chaos that's happening in the Giggle with Donna sort of being involved at all. So, I mean, Wild Blue Yonder might be the episode where she, dies.
Yeah.
Not to say that she's definitely dying, but Rusty Davis has not been helping things by commenting some very implication-y things about what's going to happen to Donna Noble.
I think they're going to do. I could be very wrong. I probably am wrong because Russell is a mad genius and always just surprises us at every turn. But I have a feeling they might just end it with Donna still being. I don't think they're going to kill her. I don't think he would be that cold. But I think
it sounds a bit too mean.
Yeah, I think they're going to end it with her still not remembering who the Doctor is. I think.
Yes, and I think this Russell T Davies is very clever because he's fooled everyone. I think he's fooled everyone.
Yes.
Because he puts all this chaos, like Elliot saying, all this chaos about about Donna and probably convincing people that she's going to die. But a lot of people come in it and actually will think that. Like, I spoke to people in the series now saying Donna's dying. Look what Russell's doing. But I think the total opposite. I don't think Donna's going to be a centre of attention. I don't think she's the main plot of this 60th. Because why would they tell us that Donna's going to be in it if she's going to be the main thing? I think what's going to happen is that Shooty will be at the end of the specials. Donna will still be there. and there'll still be. I think it's going to continue on from this Christmas special. I don't think the 60th is just going to end like that. I think Donna, because there was an image of Ncuti Gatwa on a graveyard at a church looking distraught and
crying.
So I do think Donna will die eventually, but I don't think Donna will die in the next few episodes. She may die. Something's going to happen to her for sure. It may not even be her, but I don't think she was gonna it's really hard. It's really hard.
No, I actually don't think that's a bad shout, because I think what you do is, because you get a lot of character drama from the idea of Donna getting her memories back and being okay, but then her doctor going. But also, I don't think at the moment, I mean, correct me if it's wrong, but I don't think at the moment that Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday is sort of, I don't know if she's meant to be in the Christmas special. Like, I've not really seen any photos of the Christmas special of them being together. So it would actually be quite interesting if Donna goes into the Christmas special with a different doctor. Just as the Christmas episode companion, because that's who Donna is. She's the Christmas episode companion. And then they leave for him to meet Ruby Sunday in series 14.
Yeah, I hope that happens.
That'd be interesting.
I hope that. I think that could happen, because I think Ruby debut would it's hard. I wouldn't mind seeing it on Christmas, but it depends. Depends what the plot is.
Yeah, I just feel like by now we would have seen. I don't think I've seen her filming sort of a Christmassy looking episode, and I'm probably wrong because I don't really look at leaks. But
you don't really look at that stuff.
I've not heard it anywhere, but I'm probably wrong. There's probably someone who go, "Oh no, there's a footage of her leaving her house and she's got a wreath up." So maybe she's in the Christmas episode or something. I don't know, but
I think this is probably me speaking the obvious here, but I just think Ncuti's more involved than we think he is. That's what I believe wholeheartedly, because David was asked about Ncuti being the doctor, and he had this look on his face where he was just like, he's amazing, he's going to be a great doctor. I haven't really spoken to him much, but and it's like, you've had like 500 scenes with him, don't even lie. Like, you know what's going on. Obviously, I do think everyone knows they're probably going to meet at least once. There's probably going to be like a glitch of some kind.
Because
but
the only official footage of Ncuti from the 60th anniversary, right? That background is a digital replacement to hide where he's actually standing. Because it could be the TARDIS, which would be a spoiler because we don't know what the TARDIS looks like. It could be anything, right? But it's a spoiler to know where he's standing, which is interesting.
Yeah, I have something to say about the TARDIS in a minute, but I can tell you what I think is going to happen here.
Go on.
Like, what I think is going to happen is that I think, I agree. I think Ncuti and David do get some scenes together, and I think I agree with that. I think Ncuti's going to be involved in more. But what I think is going to happen in special one is I think that David Tennant regenerates not that long once he's there. He has regeneration problems, and I think Ncuti will keep popping in and out for a little while. He will, and I think when it gets too much, and that's where we hear him say, "What's going on here?" And while that's happening, this is the only way I could see any former doctors appearing in the specials. Is if when the David Tennant doctor is regenerating, a small glimpse of past doctors will say something like a word or something, and then like whoever Neil Patrick Harris' character is, I think what he will do is he will diverge them. So he'll take the doctor out of his own body, so they're side by side, so they don't have to do that anymore. And that's how I see it happening. And perhaps I don't even see a regeneration. I think maybe David Tennant's character might be like, I can go on my own TARDIS, go in the sunset somewhere, and there's no actual regeneration. Because I feel like if there is, it wouldn't be happy. A 60th is supposed to be a happy time, not a sad time.
Yeah.
Because we'll be all sad. Everyone will be sad seeing David regenerate again. I wouldn't mind him too, but yeah, that's what I think that could possibly happen. Might be wrong, probably am, but
well, there's also loads of hints at the fact that the 14th Doctor has links to the Meta Crisis Doctor from Stolen Earth Journey's End. that there are, you know, it was in the comic, in the magazine or something like that. Like there was some kind of crossover there. I don't know. I just think Russell's going to do something where we're all just going to be
Mm,
like just no words, just
yeah.
mouth
Yeah,
aghast,
it won't be obvious.
aghast, shocked, fainting, crying, throwing up, screaming. You know, like I think that's what's going to happen. Like you know, we're going to be watching this back when this episode comes out, and we're going to be going, "Oh God, how wrong we were." I bet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And when I spoke to David, he said it's going to be unexpected, and so I'm
Mm.
really intrigued what that means. What's going to be unexpected? So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And by the time we do our little series next year, we'll be able to. I think April time. It'll be our like maybe May time after the series airs. Maybe like series 14, we can talk and we can say what we got wrong, what we got right.
Yeah, hold our hands up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. But guys, last thing, because we spoke about a lot, haven't we? We spoke about lots, and we could speak about for hours more, but we have to. I bet we have to finish it at some point, don't we? But actually, one thing before I ask you what your favourite quotes are, tell people listening, watching a little bit about your podcast.
So essentially, we are, in basic terms, you could say we are a rewatch podcast, but we're not. We discuss it. We're a Doctor Who discussion podcast, and essentially what we do is we're doing New Who at the moment. We started with New Who. We're still doing New Who. We do have some episodes spread in there about random things. So like we did one on Doctor Who trailers. We did one on, you know, the Doctor Who figures, because we're both nerds when it comes to figures. My God. But we mainly go through, like I said, at the moment, the New Who episodes, and we discuss them. We talk about them in no particular order. It's all kind of chaos, but we mainly focus on the niche topics that not everyone talks about. So we did a whole section, and you know, by the time this episode comes out, it would have been out for ages. But in Partners in Crime, the episode we just recently recorded, we did a whole section on how good Catherine and David's hair looked, and we talked about it for like maybe 10 minutes, you know. Like stupid stuff like that. And like in series 1 and 2, we have like a wardrobe corner where we talk about Rose's outfits because they're so good, you know. But then also we talk a lot about queer identity and things like that because we're both queer, and you know, that's very important for us, very, very important. And you know, just anything and everything, but mainly but we like to call them hot girl topics. You know, our podcast is for the girls, gays, and theys. You know, that's what we like to say. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, and the name. So, as we all know, creating a name is very hard, isn't it, for a podcast?
Yeah.
Impossible.
Hard, isn't it? Where did yours kind of? Is it because you like 11? Is that where it come from, or do you just like that saying "come along" from?
I think we can. I mean, we can exclusively spill the beans that it was Damla's idea. All
Yeah.
of mine were rejected outright. No, we just went back and forth, didn't we, for ages about sort of trying to think of names that were references but weren't necessarily obvious references. But it was getting to the point where, you know, can you call the Doctor Who podcast, you know, the Silver Devastation podcast? You know, the Jaws of the Nightmare Child podcast. You just start going so obscure. You needed something that was identifiable with the show, but also obscure enough that it didn't just, you know, sound generic. And obviously it's from an area of the show that I don't particularly gel with, which always made it perfect because for me it didn't, you know, it doesn't feel too obvious because I don't have much connection to the phrase "come along pond" really. So now when I say it, for me it's less synonymous with 11's catchphrase and is more synonymous with the show, which is good. And it's probably not like that for anybody else. It just is for me. But of course,
yeah, no, you're right. Like,
yeah,
the main thing was, right. So we were, like you said, we were going back and forth on a name for what, like 2 years. I don't even know. It was really like the podcast was in the making for a long time, and I wanted something that was a reference to the show, but also kind of hinted at, you know, like join us from this adventure kind of thing. But then also I like what's it called when two letters are next to each
Alliteration. We
other?
got like alliteration.
Alliteration, yeah. I love alliteration. And it's a known kind of running joke now on our podcast that, like, because we regret not calling ourselves the Come Along Pondcast, which would have been better. I know, but it's my fault. I was like, no, Come Along Pond Podcast is searchable. Sorry, Come Along Pond Podcast is searchable. It's going to come up because people, you know, it's a well-known phrase. It will be searchable. But Come Along
But
Pondcast
we still get an email
would have been
sort of
better.
maybe once or twice a month saying Damla has no vision
Mm.
for not allowing me to call it the podcast. But you know, it's a funny running joke because it's actually would have been pretty rubbish because you can't look for it. But you know, I enjoy that other people have taken to it.
The pond.
I mean, we had loads of names. Yeah, we had loads of names in the making. Like one was Chameleon Circuit, wasn't it? Like the Chameleon Circuit podcast. But then it's synonymous with that band that we don't talk about. You know, and we don't want to be associated with that. So, you know, there's just loads of different names in the making. Yeah.
And of course, I mean, the best thing about it is ended up actually being the abbreviation, because we now call it CAP.
Yeah, CAP.
And that's really just easy to do. You know, you can't. You know, like if we'd called out, "No, would you like a jelly baby?" I can't even. Yeah. Will you love book?
Yeah.
it's not really as good as CAP. So
yeah.
I know the struggle of it creating a name as well because it took me a while. I changed it half a dozen times as well. Well, I've changed the logo half a dozen times as well. And I like the way it looks now. It has a ribbon that I created with mental health. It's got mental health on it. It's got hobbies on it. It's got chronic illness that stands for Crohn's, and then you've got autism on there. So it raises awareness of diverse groups. So you have like chronic illness, that's a totally different thing altogether. But and then you have going the other way, and then people will always point out on the podcast the blue box behind me. So even if we're not doing an episode about Doctor Who, I might be just doing one about Crohn's, and they'll say, "Not nice box over there." So it's so good because I feel like with a podcast, you can't just talk about one thing all the time. If you create a series like today, but you create a series about something in particular, do that for a little while, switch it up, do something else. And I think that's the best part about doing a podcast, and you can choose when you want to do it as well.
Exactly. And you know, because we exclusively talk about Doctor Who, but we have done, you know, episodes on different, not just episodes, we've done episodes on things like we said with figures, things like that. And like we want to do at one point, we want to do a Taylor Swift related episode because there's a lot of songs that relate to things that happen in Doctor Who. You know, I agree. Changing it up is good.
Yeah, we just go through periods where like it actually, you know, we don't just want to talk about episodes of the show for the moment, and you know, sometimes people can get frustrated because they want to hear it, but sometimes we do just have 2 or 3 weeks where we do different things, and it's nice because it just stops you getting burnt out. But also on the name for a second, I think the most important thing was agreeing on a name that we both liked because we had to commission an art piece.
Yes.
Once you do that, if you don't like the title, you're done.
Exactly.
So we ended up with lovely art and a good title.
Yeah, and we got because we got a independent artist to do ours, and she was great. And yeah, it was just honestly the name of it was just, you know, so hard. But you know, there's so many good combinations of names, like, you know, just to name a few, like Who La La, who we love. They were on the podcast. They have an amazing name. You know, Who Knew podcast.
It's very good. I love there's so many running down corridors is fun. I mean, the ultimate is there's so much to go back and listen to, and I must confess my ignorance somewhat of listening to it, but my favorite is probably Radio Free Skaro. That's such a good name.
That's a great
for a
one.
Yeah,
that's a great name. It's really good.
That is a good one. Like I think that's the hardest part, isn't it? Just get a logo and name. The setup's quite simple. If we're doing it online, like we do.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the guests are pretty. If you have a guest on, it's pretty easy. Just send a message and well, what I normally do sometimes, if you run out of ideas to get people on, just message people, like maybe 3 or 4 people at once, and then hopefully you'll need to get one of them people will reply.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the first 3 series that we did, obviously as of when we were recording this, first 3 series we did mostly on our own, except for there was a period of series 3 where I had to step aside for a bit, and Damla had some co-hosts on, Josh from Who Knew and the Who La La team, and a wonderful partner Joe.
Yeah.
And then series 4 hasn't gone out at the moment, but it will have when this goes out. We had some, fingers crossed, wonderful guests, providing they all turn up for that. So that was really nice. Like the first series where we were actually able to do sort of guest content quite consistently. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume.
So good.
If it wasn't, I'll...
Yes, we would say who just in case. So if they cancel, we don't want to.
I was going to say, I don't want to say this person, and then they cancel on us. Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But
that's the annoying thing about it, isn't it? If people cancel.
Yeah,
yeah,
but it's fine. I understand, but if we can now commit to saying a name and then they've cancelled, and then that's embarrassing, isn't it?
And you have to re-edit the episode. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. With me going, I'm sorry, they pulled out.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they don't. Hopefully they don't.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. But so last thing, guys, do you have a favourite quote or one that you kind of relate to personally, in Doctor Who?
I do. I just need to get it up. So, Elliot, you go first.
But that's all right, because I haven't necessarily needed to remember mine, because one that always sticks in my head, and it's probably because it's a bit edgy, and I like to be a bit edgy, is I don't necessarily remember the context surrounding it, but somebody asks Tennant if he's okay, and he goes, "I'm always all right." But whilst he's also like the saddest he's ever been in his life, and I just, whenever that line's delivered, I feel it quite deeply in my soul, and think it's really interesting. So there's about 100 million more I could pick, but if I have to, one that resonates with me personally, it's Tennant pretending to be okay, but he's very much not okay.
Yeah, that's the go on the fireplace, isn't it? That one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's right at the end of the fireplace. That's it. Yeah, it's Rose, isn't it? Yeah. So which is ironic. Yeah, I just love the way he says it. I think it's probably the only thing we talked about in the episode was Rose asking if he's okay. She goes, "I'm always okay." But
it's a good scene.
Not though.
I do really like the scene. It relates to a lot of people as well, because like a lot of the time, sometimes when we say we're all right, when we're not really.
It's a sort of masking of
I think Rose knows deep down that he's not all right, but just didn't want to pressure him. I think.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Mine is from the 11th Doctor. I think 11 has some amazing quotes, very quotable Doctor. But my favourite is the way I see it, every life is a pile of good things and bad things. The good things don't always soften the bad things, but vice versa. The bad things don't always spoil the good things or make them unimportant. Love that. Love that quote.
Nice.
Yeah, that is a good quote. I love that one too. It's so like good and awesome. That one.
It is.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Yeah. In that actual episode, that was the Vincent and Doctor, wasn't it? That one. But do you know when Vincent's in the room? And it's like spinning. It's like and his mind is spinning around. But actually, in the episode, they were actually all spinning around in the middle.
Oh.
Yeah. Like they was all, even the Doctor and Amy and all that, and the guy who is in charge, they're all spinning around on this like this roundabout, really.
Oh, like a revolve, right?
Yeah, and they're all spinning around. It didn't look like it in the episode, but that's what they were doing.
Oh, that's fun.
As I said, it must be so fun to film.
Yeah.
It's
cool when you do stuff like that. But yeah, guys, it's been awesome to have you guys on.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah,
chatting.
Yeah, lovely. But before we go, thank you to everyone that's watching this, and we hope you enjoy it. This is the first episode of the group episodes for November, leading up to the 60th anniversary, and and for the celebrations, because we're celebrating Doctor Who and autism, neurodiversity, and just being awesome. But before we go, each of the group episodes, I ask anyone that has a sonic device, sonic screwdriver, to bring one, and what we're going to do is just sonic our way to the end. and what you guys
Yes.
can do, if you have any favorite lines, or I don't know, Unleash Geronimo, any of the famous Doctor lines, you can say them when you unlock the sonic. Yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah. Oh,
Mine's
hang
not-
on.
Mine's not making any
There
noise.
she goes.
You reckon?
Alonzi.
Geronimo? I'm saying the wrong sonic, aren't I?
It's the button. It's got stuck. I've
Oh,
broken
the
my
buttons.
own.
Hold on. Technical
Yeah.
difficulties
Yeah.
in
I've
the
broken my own.
outro.
I've
Yeah.
broken my own.
Do your
toy.
own sound effect. Do your own sound effect.
Yeah, do your own sound
Yeah.
effect.
It's because it can come out the thing entirely. I
Yeah.
revolved it around.
Make a sonic
Yeah.
noise.
There you go.
There we go.
Love it.
Got it. But yeah, thanks Damla and Elliot for coming on, talking about.
Well,
No,
thank
thank
you for inviting us. We really appreciate it. And we've had so much fun. Honestly, it's been really, really fun.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
really, really awesome, and I'm glad you've both enjoyed it. But yeah, again, to everyone listening and watching, we hope you've enjoyed it as well, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.